the one. Today is windy, very windy. So we're gonna kind of shift gears today. We made massive progress over the weekend. Thank you to everybody who came near and far to help us get our first wall up. It feels amazing. Alyssa's trying to knock out some video this morning. We get kind of behind on that stuff when the work projects start kind of kicking into gear. So she's trying to keep up on that. Anna and I are gonna jump onto just kind of like prep work. We talked about how well the north wall went over the weekend, but we knew that once we got to the east, west, and south sides, we're not really gonna be able to lift those panels up there. That was never the goal. We budgeted for a crane. We wanted to make sure we had all of our bugs worked out before we got the crane though. So that's kind of where we're at. We talked about this morning. We made some phone calls to the local rental place, and we think we can probably do a lot of the work with a telehandler. So before we go get the telehandler, we want to do a bunch of the prep work to basically get the frame ready to accept panels. We were kind of doing that prep work before, but we thought, you know what? We better wait for the panels to get here so we can measure them and fit them and check them, and it's a good thing that we did. We made some decisions that we would have regretted. So that's kind of where we're at today, and we've got to kind of make some changes to how we're prepping things like the sill plates. Let me show you. When we put our sill plate extensions on, we knew they were going to be a little bit wider than the sips. We accepted that. We just wanted to make sure they weren't too short, and in the end, actually it wasn't a bad judgment call. So you can see that where we cut this sill plate back, we actually made kind of an angled cut, and the cut stops, and then clear down here, it starts again. What in the world? It turns out that this wall has just the littlest bow in it. What's important is that the sip overhang the sill so that when we install our siding, it'll come down over the sill plates and look really good. If the sill plate sticks out too far, the siding comes down, it runs into it, and the siding's gonna have to, I don't know, bend or something, or just look bad. So the main challenge we had with trimming this sill plate is that in order to do it in a single pass, we have to use the Manquita. And because the motor on the Manquita is so wide from the blade, it won't fit with the blade between here and the rim board. So we can't use the wide side of the table on the saw. So now we're stuck using the narrow side of the table with this big huge saw trying to cut single pass through these timbers. Kind of saw that coming. And if you remember, we made a mistake. We had a couple of screws that were not all the way in because the Milwaukee impact driver chuck is too big to fit in that hole, and we didn't get him in there, and we hit him with the Manquita. Sorry Manquita. So we've come up with a different plan today. First of all, we're gonna go around and double check that all those screws are in. We're gonna use the Makita to do it, Makita impact driver. Then we're going to try and measure a few places along the sill plate and make marks. Then pull a string and see if this wall, east and west, are like the north wall, if they have any kind of bow or anything in the rim board. We'll chalk a line, then we'll use the circular saw first, which is the Makita circular saw, not the Manquita, which is gonna get us to within an inch of cutting that off. And then I think we're gonna use a new tool that we haven't used yet. Well, wouldn't you figure? Turns out the only two that we found that were actually out were the ones that we hit with the saw. Everything else actually is looking pretty good. So we took the sway bracing off that we had tying the frame to the platform, just long enough to do our work here. We feel like it's just cheap insurance. We don't really need those, but why not? It's a little effort for what they give you. So we're gonna strip the plastic off this side and pull that cladding board, I don't even know what it's called, off of there. And that way we can see the rim to do our work, and that should put us in a good spot to get this all trimmed up. And so I'd say that line's pretty straight. I mean, give or take a quarter, but that could just be some of these strands kind of swollen a little bit. Like right here, this strand is swollen, not swollen. See how this is like flat and then it swells out? Ironically, in an effort to keep the rim from getting wet. Well, we knew we were gonna, whatever moisture got in there was gonna get trapped in there. We knew that, but it'll dry out. Once we get the structure dried in and we heat the garage, the rim board is exposed inside, so the moisture will leave the rim board to the interior, which is good. But in so doing, when we taped around the posts, we created like a gutter into the post. And so usually right around the post is the most wet because all the water ran to the post and then ran down the post and down to the rim board. I think my big concern is that that string being 1 inch in means we're kissing the screw heads. The darned screw heads. Kissing is a good word. Let's not do that to another saw blade. It's a risk we have to take because I'll tell you what the other option is, planer blades. And I think I'd rather nix a saw blade than a planer blade, I think. Let's check Amazon real quick. Okay. Oh, welcome. Welcome to the fun chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to rip these down, but not use the Mankita.
Yeah, it was a beast.
And we chalked a line. We went through with the freaking impacts and drove the screws in and did all this and that. And I'm hitting screw heads.
Really? God,
So apparently
sucks.
1 inch is not enough. There's an area right here where it's like
Oh wow. That's
1
like an
inch.
Yeah.
But it tapers to 1/2 inch down there. So I just hit a screw head with the Makita, which I was willing to do.
Well, yeah, you
Because
have to, right?
we don't really have a choice, yeah. So remember I was saying earlier how I wanted more Makita batteries? Yeah, the Makita is already dead. But we are cutting full depth, and I cut almost 24 straight feet. So now we're gonna, while the Makita batteries charge up, we're gonna jump to this big guy. One for the charger! Down. Good catch. The 9 amp hour Milwaukee made it just as far as the 2 3 amp hour Makitas did with the circular saw. Interesting. I'd say that's a lot of sawzalling. That looks to me like a wall of rain. Can't see it on the camera because it's too wide angle, but something really nasty is about to hit us in about 5 minutes. Well, that felt like a hack job. It was definitely easier, but more work. I think this whole sill plate extension thing, I understand why we did it. We did it for a lot of good reasons, but we knew this day was coming. So the good news is we now have got a pretty tidy sill plate. So Alyssa ran to town to get some things, grab extra blades and things for the Sawzall. And then she should be back. And then I think what we're gonna do is try to get the shoes installed today. How's that for a goal? So we'll start doing this to the other side, to the east side. We'll get that one ripped down. And then the girls are gonna work on getting the shoes installed. If they get that far and they're running behind, or they're ahead of me, I think they're gonna work on getting the furring on this whole entire wall over here. And then we're at a steady march toward Friday being ready for SIPs. Holy cow. Watch out. We didn't sleep very good last night because 1, I was too hot, and 2, Bugaboo brought in another mouse. So Alyssa, in the kindness of her heart, got up and put a mouse trap in the bathroom because every time he lets them go, they always run into the bathroom. They try to hide. So she put a mouse trap in there in her sleep, like 3 o'clock in the morning. And there was a mouse in there this morning, so she got it. And that dirty, rotten rat bugaboo was sleeping this morning. I was supposed to fly this morning at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Didn't work. We're gonna fly another day. Guys, look how fast these clouds are moving. I'm just gonna hold the camera steady. This is not a time lapse. So Alyssa just got back from town and our door company called, or apparently they emailed, and said that our garage doors were ready for delivery. So Alyssa was asking me, hey, should we call them and set a time for delivery? And I'm like, yeah, probably better. We're not ready for them right now. We don't really have anywhere to put them. Maybe by Friday, like 3 days from now. Okay. She turns around. She's like, are we expecting somebody? No. It's the garage doors. I don't know if this works for normal people. Doesn't work for us. I'm in the middle of something. I didn't know you were coming. So if you just show up at our house, I'm this close to just sending people away because I'm getting really sick and tired of people just showing up and expecting us to drop everything that we're doing and handle their business. If you have my phone number, I just spent $30,000 with you. So can you call? Anyway, so Alyssa's gonna deal with that. We're gonna keep going on the sill plate. They can either come back or we'll come get them another day. This like show up like, haha, we're here. We've got your stuff is getting really old.
Table saw says, nope, no more. Got showered, look at that. Like I've been mowing grass.
It looks like you got showered in leprechaun dust.
Right?
Is it St. Patrick's Day?
Or like bee pollen.
Gotta love pressure
Last
treat.
one was rough.
Well, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. Actually, I'll tell you what. When you're gonna mill these up, fire up the big generator. 80% of your problem is that
Really?
generator over there. It's amazing. Like that generator, that table saw, like a whole different table saw.
Wow.
I got everything unplugged from that generator over there. Everything.
Really?
I unplugged the
It's
RV.
still
I unplugged
struggling.
the battery charger.
Wow.
And it still can't
And
pull.
when we have grid power, it'll
Yeah.
just be like, right?
Yeah, so for these boards, probably just flip that thing on. You'll cut them twice as fast with less headaches and more leprechaun dust. So I'm definitely doing with the Makita circular saw what you probably won't do with cordless tools. But it's a pretty good test of the batteries. So I've been using the 3 amp hour and we have one 4 amp hour. We lost a battery a while ago. So we're down to 3 batteries and 1 charger. So I've been running out of battery. So it's taking me about 2 full charges to get through a full depth cut, 38 feet long or so. If we had the 5 amp hour batteries and they were fairly new, I'll bet we could do this whole cut with probably just the 2 batteries. So while I'm waiting for those batteries, I'm gonna go help Alyssa. Oh boy, that could have gone way worse. Poor girl. I'm gonna help her install sill plates. I'm coming! Why don't you help me move this out of the way?
Okay.
That way we're not tripping on it. Go ahead. Come on, batteries, come on! Should have got the 2 battery charger. Our rim joists are not perfectly straight. So we can't just like snap a line and put the shoe on. It's better if we put a spacer on there and then put the little chunk of SIP on there and then use that to make sure the shoe is aligned. Working pretty good. Both
Yep.
3/4. So these are our 3/4 spacers and these mimic the furring that we're gonna put on for the sheetrock. And then we can slide the SIP on there. So first we mastic and then we put it on. I almost feel like getting the leaf blower up here would be a lot easier, huh?
Right.
Why don't I do that?
Really?
Yeah. Was that the battery charger?
Yeah. Yeah.
Woohoo! I got this if you want to go to that end.
Yep.
Coming down. You need to come in about a 1/2 inch from the outside. About a 1/2 inch. Yep, good. Spacer. 7 1/4 doesn't fit. Like this hasn't fit ever. So.
I just got scolded. Apparently I was supposed to rip these down an extra 1/8 because our sips have been fitting snugly, and there's just no reason they have to fit snugly. We'd much rather have a little bit of wiggle room and not feel like we have to pound the sips on the shoe.
Sweet. Battery's done. Sill plate done.
Can you squeeze in there and push it my way? That's pretty good.
Yeah, that gap right there is going to be pretty big.
Yep.
But there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, hold on. I guess there is something we can do about it. Ready?
Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
Go. Nice. We have got to be getting close to dinner time. Part of me wants to start in on these vertical sills in the front. That's all that's left to do. We're going to do these vertical guys and these little tiny guys down at the bottom. And then everything can be shoed. I think the goal is to get the sips that go right here in the garage, get this whole garage done before Friday, which Alyssa and I can do that, but we still need to build these, which are our insulated headers. And so yeah, if we can get all that done, maybe we can get the garage door guys to come out and get the garage doors installed. Wouldn't that be rad?
Hope you like chicken parmesan. Love it. It's our new thing. Speaking those words made me hungry.
It did. Yeah. Thanks for coming out and helping us.
Yeah.
Good work.
An interesting day.
Good work, Anna.
I just want to share, because this is part of our story, that I feel like the past few days filming's been really hard for me because I feel like it's building the house or running the camera, and it's really hard to do both.
And editing. Like, we haven't edited anything in several days. So
yeah,
Alyssa's been editing like 3 videos in one day so that we can kind of go a few days. Yeah. We're definitely doing our best. Some days it's very hard, especially when there's a large work stretch. And right now we feel personal internal pressure to get the sips up.
Yeah.
Because we've been waiting for so long. So we're trying not to go too fast, but we're also chomping at the bit to get rocking.
And I think anyone that has a YouTube channel knows that when things get tough, it's really easy to just say, screw the camera, I'm working. Yeah. But you're never sad that you got the footage.
Part of the story is that if you think building a house is hard, try filming it. That's the story. If building a house does not destroy your relationship, I can 150% guarantee
the
filming it will.
But grandkids, like, you better appreciate these videos.
Or else we'll punish you somehow.
With cookies.
With cookies and ice cream. What we'll do is we'll punish your parents by
sneaking you lunch money.
Yeah, we'll feed you sugar and send you home.
Thanks for all your work today.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work, Anna.
Let's eat.
Looks like Jesse pulled Mr. Mousy Mouse out for me, so I don't have to reach all the way in there to pull it out. Sorry, little guy. We just can't have you, like, making babies in our walls and stuff. If you're wondering if you can catch a mouse with 2-month-old peanut butter, the answer is yes. Don't worry. I'll do a proper burial for the mouse. Put him in a good spot.